Welcome to What the Fit, a podcast about what it means to be fit, whatever the fuck that means. Welcome, Tian Philson.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited for this conversation. I feel like it's been brewing for a while.
It has.
Like every time
has.
we've, been able to connect and either have some group time or one-on-one time, I'm always like, oh, I can't wait to get you on. I can't wait to get you on.
I love everything about it. I love the authenticity you bring to it.
Thank you.
And it's funny because sometimes I'll share my screen and so Spotify is where I listen to the podcast on, and people will be able to see and I'll be going to a playlist, but there'll be the What the Fit right there because I've listened recently, and I'm like, they're going to think that was a bad word, but I'm like, I don't care. Hopefully they look it up and then they go listen.
Yes,
so
for sure.
I love this
for
podcast,
sure.
and thank you for having me on.
Yes, thank you for coming. So Tian, you are a leadership, wellness, and mindset coach, and you help ambitious souls go inward so they can go upward.
Yes.
Which I love that.
Yes.
I'm like, that's such, I feel like a good, concise summary of the work you do.
Yeah. Well, I hope what it often leads to is a person going, tell me more, right? Because I think that at its core, that is true. It's like we go inward so we can then go upward.
Yep.
But what I hope is that no one makes an assumption on what upward means, especially in this world of leadership in particular. Ambition, right? Because sometimes what upward means is more peace. Sometimes it means more clarity. It could mean more confidence. It could mean that they actually want a promotion or something.
Sure. The upward
higher,
mobility,
right?
motion.
But it's it means so much. But first we have to go inward to get there. And so as much as I think about how do I tell the story of what I do, that has to stay.
Yeah.
Because you have to start going inward.
Yep. I completely agree. Yeah.
The part that's funny to me is, so you said leadership, wellness, and mindset coach.
Yes.
I am at this point of transition. That is all true. It is all true. I see your face oh shit, what's happening?
No.
Can I cuss? I should probably ask you that.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. This is the foundation of what the fit is built on.
You started with whatever the fuck that means. So yes, I don't have to filter.
No filter here.
Wonderful. I'll do it out of respect. I don't mind that kind of a filter. But the moment I'm having right now is that the work that I'm doing is really more about the transformation of the leader, and also for people to not assume what leadership means, because so often we tie it to a title.
Yes.
And that's not the kind of leadership that I'm specifically talking about.
Yeah.
That is part of it.
Yeah.
But we are literally the leaders of our own lives. We are the leaders of our own journey.
Yep.
And so when I talk about leadership transformation, it's how you show up and lead your own life with more intention. And everything that entails. So I've been leaning a lot heavier into the leadership and into the transformation.
Yeah.
And then it's well, what do you do with the wellness and mindset? And I'm well.
Because that's all kind of tied in though, right? Yes. Because in order to go inward, we have to think about wellness, in my perspective, as a whole.
Yeah.
Right? Because
absolutely.
I heard this metaphor somewhere along the years here. It's kind of thinking of you have your hand with all 5 fingers.
Sure.
If one of your fingers is, one of your pillars, if you think of the fingers as pillars, right? If one of those pillars is a little messed up, it affects the whole hand.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
It affects the hands and everything that the body can do.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, I think when you talked about before having a little bit of identity crisis, I feel like it still is all there though.
Yeah, it is.
It's all wrapped up.
It is. And I do think that a lot of times what people gravitate to, from what I've noticed, is this need to slow things down, which is at the heart of the work that I do. It's learning to slow it down and turn your attention inward and notice what's actually happening within your own physical being.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's very much a wellness-led thing, right? You're either carrying stress or you're physically exhausted, which is a big one for people that come to me.
Yep.
Something is sending you signals and saying, I'm not okay. And so they're looking to get back to that baseline of wellness, or at least it may not even be get back to baseline, but they want to protect their well-being in some way.
Yeah.
And then the mindset piece, I'm just a huge believer in we have so much more control than we think we do. And a lot of it starts with our mindset.
Totally.
Right? We may not be able to control what's happening around us, but we have so much control on how we respond to those things, but we've got to believe that first.
To me, that's everything. Right? That's where it starts. That is the foundation, the bedrock of doing anything that you want in life, getting anything that you want in life.
Absolutely.
It all comes down to mindset.
It's why I'm such a huge fan of sports. And I love that I get to be a coach now, right? Because a lot of the coaching foundation is in many ways influenced by sports and like the way that coaching exists in sports.
Yep.
Right. And so when you think about mindset, what better example of like a winner's mindset, a growth mindset, a whatever mindset than like watching so many of these like threads throughout the history of sports, right? And so many lessons. I'm obsessed.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Do you have like favorite sports? Do you like all sports?
I like many sports. I'd say football is probably number one.
Okay.
Basketball and football, I've traded places for a long time.
Okay.
Football's probably number one. I'm just more present when it comes to football. I make more of a priority like to watch it.
Okay.
Basketball is where I learned the most lessons growing up because I used to play.
Yes. Okay.
Track is wonderful, but I suck.
Yeah.
I'm not fast.
I hated track. I did track in high school,
Yeah.
and I did it more of just like kind of like a social aspect and kind of like to keep in shape in the off season of swimming. I hated it.
Yeah.
I had like a religion class 7th period right before track practice, and I would like be in the bathroom for half of religion class.
Sure.
Because I was so nervous and so
man.
anxious
Yeah.
about having to go
Yeah.
to that fucking track
Yeah.
and run. So I'd just be like sitting there like
Yeah.
shaking my
Yeah.
stomach's like in knots. So I still have like a visceral reaction when I think of track.
I can feel it actually.
I
can
can
feel like the shaking.
I'm like, you're gonna make me do a 400 repeat? Like,
But that's if you were running 400, that's why you feel that way. 400 is hard.
I know.
400 is to me one of the hardest.
for sure.
And I know I'm going on a tangent, but
Yeah,
I'll
no.
do that.
It is.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I want to back up and talk about how you got into this work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the story behind this? How did
Sure.
you come to where you are? I know you've had a lot of different career experience and transition. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Oh my gosh, I've thought about this so many times. The short version of it is I kept following my passion. And it did not start anywhere close to this.
Yeah.
Anywhere close to this. I think that my interest and my passion for people, right? I remember sitting in my marketing class, and I was in a consumer behavior class while at the same time working for Burke Marketing Research in college,
Yep.
and getting to ask people questions about themselves and their
Yes.
life, and being
Yes.
so deeply curious
Yes.
that all I knew is I wanted to understand how people operated, why they made the decisions that they did, and I just wanted to get deeper, and more curious. Fast forward to, no one told me when I switched my major to marketing that I was going to probably end up in sales.
They don't tell you that.
They don't tell you that.
You
right?
think that you're going into a marketing major and that you're going to do some like ad creative,
Yeah.
cool stuff
Yeah.
on Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
No.
Very like consumer centric.
Yep.
I was in sales. But what happened is I kept shifting my work to try to get closer and closer to things that allow me to be curious
Okay.
about people.
Yeah.
Until it just didn't work anymore. And here's the funny thing about it is my story will forever be tied back to yoga, because yoga is when I first learned to go inward.
Okay.
So when I went inward for yoga, it allowed me to understand what was still working in my life and what wasn't working. And honestly, what wasn't working is me trying to force fit a career that I don't think ever pulled my best gifts out of me. I think, you know, as an ambitious soul,
You could do it. You were good at it.
exactly, you can do it. People are telling you like you're doing great.
Yep.
And also you find the parts of it you love,
Yes.
like leading a team,
Yes.
right? Or working for an organization you
Yes.
love. You find the parts that you love. But finally, what actually happened, I don't know how many people have heard this story, is I was at 8451, which loved the company while I was there, loved the experience. They had these, what they call 5 conversations, and you're supposed to be the owner of them. As the employee, you're supposed to own setting up the 5 conversations.
With your
people leader, your manager.
Yep.
And when I tell you it was time for the May conversation, and I had zero desire to set up the May conversation, to the point where my manager finally set it up.
It was like,
He
hey.
was like, hey, we need to have this conversation. And I remember prepping for the conversation, Christelle, and I was going to try to explain to him like the disconnect that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And do you know who Csikszentmihalyi is?
No.
Okay. I'm going to butcher like his actual title and what he does, but he's known for the flow state theory.
Okay.
Right? Where it's like the level of effort relative to the level of skill. And
Yep.
when you find that perfect balance, you find your state of flow.
Yes.
I was drawing this graph out for him, trying to explain to him the Csikszentmihalyi and where I fit on that, and trying to describe for him like why I felt displaced in my role. And I was like, he's not going to care about this.
He's not going to get it. He's not going to care.
He's not going to get it. He's not going to care. But I'm like, meanwhile, I can't tell you like my own numbers, results, and objectives, but I can tell you all about Csikszentmihalyi's flow state theory. and all these other like productivity or professional growth or professional leadership or how to get the most out of people.
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I took all that yoga awareness.
I want to talk about that real quick, if you don't mind. What about yoga brought you inward? What was it about the practice?
First and foremost, it is the safest space that I've ever experienced in my life, right? Like to this day, my yoga mat is still like the space that I go to feel safe, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
To really confront yourself. It's just about you. And when you're with a really good yoga teacher, they remind you that it's not about anybody else's experience. It's truly about what's happening for you on your mat. And just because you did it yesterday doesn't mean that you need to strive to do it again today. Like be
or
where
that it
you
will
are
feel
now.
the same, or that you will show up the same, that your body will move the same, that the poses will even like feel in space and time the same.
So you have to really slow it down. You have to feel safe enough to be honest, to pay attention to what's happening, and most importantly, to not judge it.
Yeah.
To not judge it. There was one more thing I wanted to say about that too.
It sounds
just
like
to be present.
Yeah.
Just to be present.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like yoga is like giving you this opportunity just for like a check-in. Like it's almost like the container that you really resonated with, that we're like, oh, this is it. This is how I can get in.
Yeah. And so the thing that I took away from that practice is asking like questions like, who am I really? Or what do I need in this moment?
Yeah. I want to talk about that later, because you changed my life.
Oh
with
my
the coaching session that you and I had. Yeah. That was changed.
That was huge.
Yeah. It was huge for me. Yeah.
And this is the beautiful thing about being a coach, is while you were having that huge experience for yourself, I was being reminded of how important and powerful it was, to where I could actually come back to that too.
Yeah.
Because we all have to like come back to the things.
Oh,
sometimes.
for sure. For sure.
So that's what yoga did. And it's funny that you bring that up, because right alongside with this identity crisis, it's like the company is named LSF because that describes the yoga journey: love, strength, fitness. I found first my fitness through yoga, and then my mental strength, and then my self-love. Yeah. Right. So kind of like physical, mental, emotional. Yeah. But then I reversed it, because for me, what was most important out of that whole journey was the self-love. Yes. And then the mental strength.
It always comes back to that.
Physical fitness.
It always comes.
So that's where LSF comes from.
Yeah. I think of like the self-love piece, which is something that I've been working on for, many years now. And it feels like if you, can really feel that for yourself, and you can experience that, it to me then feels like that love of a parent, or that love of a caretaker, right? Which then makes you feel like, okay, I can do anything. I can work on my physical. I can work on my mental. I can, you know what I mean? It's like back to this, like that love really like buoys you up. Yeah. And it's not coming from anyone else. Absolutely. It's internally generated.
It's like no one can take it away from you. But here's an important thing that I've observed, and this actually kind of happened more so after I went into the entrepreneurial space. Yeah. Because I think I got really hard on myself, time in my new chapter in my life.
For sure.
When self-love feels like a little bit of a gap for yourself, and you become especially hard on yourself, I think that also becomes the way that you operate in the world.
I agree.
Where you take that judgment that you're putting on yourself, and you assume other people are putting it on you too. But I think you also operate more heightened with others.
I agree. I feel that. I feel that for myself, if I'm going through any kind of period where I'm being hard on myself, I'm being critical, that like judger is coming out for me, that really like the strict parent is like coming out for me. The lens at which I like look at other people and perceive their actions is directly reflective of how I feel about myself inside.
I think so. It's that whole like attracts like sort of thing. Now, when you pour love into yourself and you give yourself grace, I think you also are more likely to give others grace. And so, that is huge, and that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. So we were talking about, before we got on a little yoga tangent, your May conversation.
Yes.
And you had the flow chart.
I realized that as an ambitious person, something's really broken if I really just can't conjure up enough care to do the job well anymore. that's not who I am. Right. So it goes back to that identity thing. Who are you really?
Yes.
And I'm not the kind of person to show up and just phone it in or go through the motions. And I will tell you that it had been a stretch of time where like I knew that what I was showing up for were like the other people.
Yeah.
The people that reported to me, the people that I was like direct peers with. Like I wasn't completely slacking off on the job.
Of course, because that's not who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had nothing left to give. And, you know, in organizations like these organizations, you have to like talk about your forward looking plans.
Oh,
and
yes, you do.
Vision. My whole job was about the vision for the future.
Of course.
And I'm like,
of course,
I'm struggling. In fact, I started to feel pretty miserable. And I think I was so disconnected from trying to like fake it or force it. My own mental health was starting to suffer.
Yep.
It was I was not okay.
Yeah.
And so when you ask like, well, what do I need in this moment? It's like, well, I need to be honest and trust myself to like explore what something different could look like.
Yeah.
Here's what's funny is because the only thing that I'd done up until that point is found the next job that was a little bit closer to what I wanted to do.
Yep.
And taught yoga on the side, which was like safe because I'm still doing the expected path.
Right.
And this is an outlet.
Yes. You could feed a little bit. You could have a little, you know, a little spark of that flame be tended to.
Exactly.
But not the whole fire.
Not the whole fire.
Yeah.
And so what's funny is when I went and got signed up for my coaching certification, this is about 3 months later, I went and signed up for coaching certification. So you're still
like in your 8451
still
role.
Fully in
and you're
my
just
role.
kind of like picking away at little things on the side. Yeah.
And I thought it would be just like yoga, where it's like, I'm just going to get this coaching certification and maybe I have a client here and there that I coach like on a Saturday or once in an evening.
Yeah.
Just like I had done with yoga.
Sure.
By the time I completed that coaching certification, and this was something that I could have never foreseen. So as you know, I went through the Jay Shetty certification school.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to talk about that.
Best possible choice I could have made.
Seriously.
It was so transformational for me.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like it has to be. Like when they're like talking to you about being able to coach others and lead other people through these really kind of like messy underworlds of our mind and breaking down like barriers and patterns and stories that have been long shared, you have no choice but to also confront that with yourself. How could you not?
You have to do the work. And my supervisor at the time, her name's Mira, and I love her to death. We actually just connected maybe a week ago. She used to always tell us, you need to do the inner work. You need to do the inner work. In order for us to show up for others, we've got to make sure that we're doing the inner work. And the school is designed so that you're doing the inner work while learning coaching practices and modalities.
Makes sense. What's that like? What's the certification like? Like what's the process like? And you did this with your role, with your job.
And a lot of people. So there were probably some people that were like doing something like that full time, but many people had their own full time commitment.
Right.
And so this was something that fit in. I think I didn't know what to expect. And that was kind of one of the best things is I didn't go into it thinking I was going to make a whole career pivot.
Right.
So what it was just like this exciting time to dive in and learn something new. I got to learn from someone I deeply respected, like his coaching philosophy and all of his frameworks taught by people that, you know, he'd chosen or his team had chosen that you quickly built this trust with. But then there was this incredible community and it was global and I was not prepared for that. This global community of people learning all around the world, different stories and backgrounds. And so you're not learning in this vacuum. And it's also not like all the same goal even, right? Like some people are doing this and what they want to do with their life after looks different than what you want to do. And so I think what it did was it removed the expectation. You know, I have nothing against corporate. It actually took for me to step away from corporate to be like, wow, corporate really shaped me in a really meaningful way.
I feel the same way. You know, we have, you know, somewhat similar stories in that we had a beginning corporate path kind of leading into entrepreneurship. It sounds like we'll get to the point of your story where you step away probably voluntarily, right? Mine was involuntary, but the outcome being the same. Like absolutely, I consider that such a blessing, and someone
and sometimes it just takes time.
It takes
distance, to see the blessing,
right? For sure. But as I like navigate, you know, this new life world for me, I look back on corporate and I'm like, I'm so grateful. Absolutely, they're so grateful that I, you know, had this opportunity to kind of like train my brain to think in certain ways or to look at things in certain ways.
Absolutely.
And I agree. It's an amazing skill set. I'm happy to have it.
And I think what it did for me was it allowed me to kind of have a juxtaposition of worlds, right?
Yes.
So it's like the corporate world versus what was starting to become this entrepreneurial world. But then there's all these other different experiences that are happening. And I was glad that I had one clear kind of example. And then I could start to compare, contrast, and like kind of pull what I needed from each of those kind of lived experiences. So yeah, the certification itself, I mean, I'm sure it's evolved some since I went through it back in 2021, 22.
Yeah.
But it really was just a very well-defined time in my life where I was able to do the work on myself, follow the guidance of someone that I feel really high level of respect for. And also in a way that bridged my two worlds, right? So that particular school is founded on like some of the Eastern philosophy, like some of the mindfulness practices, some of the principles of like Eastern, ancient wisdom. But then also the modern, like Western positive psychology and neuroscience and coaching techniques. And so it felt like my corporate life and my yoga life coming together. And now what's interesting is, and again, everybody that was in that school had a different path and a different goal. But for me, it's like, I coach that way on purpose.
Right.
I coach that way on purpose where it's like, let's talk about the strategy because I think it's so important. Like if you're in an organization and you have a commitment to shareholders or obligations to the business, objectives, things like that, it is important to understand what path you're taking in order to get there. But also let's talk about the person and how we're going to take care of the professional that needs to be well and needs to be mentally fit, right? In order to deliver.
Exactly.
And so
you have to be. We're not robots.
We're not robots.
I mean, maybe one day we will be. Corporate will conjure up some just like little worker bee, little AI type of robot person, and they'll be able to just drive to the bottom line, drive to the bottom line.
There are little agents out there now, right? Like doing that work. But we still need the human side of things. And I think as humans, we do need to still draw that line between like, I might be able to build code that creates a robot, but at the end of the day, there still needs to be some human intervention. And I need to remember that I'm the human.
Right.
I need a pause. Yeah. I need to speak up and say, something's not working. I need help. Or, hey, I feel really skilled in this area and I'd like a chance to explore a project that lets me like elevate those skill sets or whatever that may be.
Right.
A lot of the women that I work with, they're phenomenal. You know this because you're one of the phenomenal women.
My gosh.
Right? But like they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
But sometimes because we're trying to keep up with like the pace of robots or the pace of expectation or pressure, we kind of lose that voice. We lose that clarity.
Yeah.
For like how great we actually are, how much we actually have to contribute, or what contribution is quote unquote supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And that's what we
Oh, you're good.
Big bang on the microphone.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
But that's what we spend a lot of time breaking down.
I was thinking about this morning, actually, and I think this will play into our conversation around what you say, exhaustion, excellence over exhaustion. What do you say? What's your
excellence without exhaustion?
Excellence without exhaustion. And what you were reminding me, yes, okay, we're incredible women. We're so capable. We can do it all. We can, all of this stuff. And I have felt in my life that I would have to shut down the feeling part in order to get what I have to get done. Do you know what I mean? Like
feeling of like feeling your own needs or feeling other people's needs or all of it.
All of it, right? Because I'm like, okay, I need to go into this robot mode because I've got all this stuff I need to get done. I have to be disciplined. I have to do things when I don't want to do them.
Sure.
I have to push when I don't want to push, in order to get everything that I need to get done or, do whatever. And that conversation that we had around the pause and like, what do I need today? How do I feel today? How do I feel in this moment? What do I need in this moment? Was so revolutionary for me because it made me realize that ability to kind of go into that robot mode or the turn off the feeling and get things done, that is a skill.
Oh yeah.
It's helped me so much in my life.
Absolutely.
However, it doesn't have to be my default. I can tap in, I can turn it on when I need to. Like this week I had to do that.
Absolutely.
I had, 4 podcast recordings. I'm closing 4 nights at the bar. I've got this week doesn't happen all the time.
Absolutely.
This isn't my standard operating week.
Absolutely.
But I had to turn it on this week where like I haven't had a time to touch in with myself, probably, check in with myself probably since Monday, like really fully. I know that after these conversations today, I'm going to get that time this evening. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to have it.
Yeah.
But the difference for me, or like the shift for me, was like I don't have to stay in that operating mode of robotic.
Yes.
I can turn it on. I can use it as a tool when I need to use it.
Absolutely.
And then I can put it away.
And I'm sure this happened with us. One of the most important questions to ask ourselves is like, how is that mode serving you? Right? So that you can understand the role that it plays, because it's not necessarily that you need to shut it down completely,
right,
because it does serve us at some times and in some ways.
Yeah.
But when it's the default, and I love that you point that out, is that's when you start to feel like, or realize, I should say, that's when you start to realize like, okay, but except when it looks like this,
it's not sustainable.
Now it's not sustainable. It's not serving me. I don't like how I'm showing up because and so just pausing, and the pause is the really important part.
Yeah.
The pause is the important part. Just practicing pausing and just saying like, am I responding from a default place, or am I responding with intention? Right. And then you can say, this is a week where I really need to like put in that.
I need to put in the high gear.
Yeah. And that's okay, because now it's a choice.
Yes.
You've made an intentional choice.
Exactly. I told I kind of said to myself, we're going to have time to check in. I've got Thursday afternoon, right? We got to get to that point, and we can, take some time and process and do all of that. But yeah, that conversation that we had, I think I'd come to you just being like, I don't know how to manage it all, right? Yeah. I've got multiple jobs and responsibilities. Absolutely. I have this, creative work that I'm doing that looks so different than a calendar with detailed times and, here's my schedule and all that. And, I was just like, I'm not really sure how to manage. And you just had this revolutionary idea that I should ask myself what I feel like doing in the day.
Yeah. Well,
blew my mind,
because you were also in this really pivotal time of transition. And so it's like you'd never experienced that option in that way before, right? Where you had so much more. I mean, we all have a certain level of control in terms of how we shape our days, but you had a significant level of new control over what your day could look like.
Yeah.
But we all have been there where it's like we were so programmed to kind of operate it in this certain way on this certain schedule that the idea of like that you could change it was like, and we wouldn't know until you like kind of vocalize that or externalize that, or at least pause before you get there.
Yeah.
So,
no, it was like a whole new level of freedom. I come back to that practice often. I mean, like almost every morning. Yeah. I will be able to be like, okay. And there's, of course, like we have obligations, we have commitments. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, I feel like spend my all day outside. It's like, well, no, you got, stuff to do. But I just think like just the very fact of just like asking myself what I need places this whole level of like care and love into the day rather than like, you have to do this. Right. You have to get this done.
Well, what it does is it teaches us that we are the source of truth and that we can start by checking in with ourselves as opposed to the default or the pressure or the expectation. Yeah. I recently built this this tool, and I'll send it to you just so you can play with it, see if you like it. It's a PDF document, and I sent it out to a few people so they could give me feedback. And one of the points of feedback that I got was the person she's like, I just really love the pause that it invites, because it was an excellence without exhaustion tool, where it's like you can be a high achiever without burning yourself out in the process.
I wish we could I need that like on a playback in my mind. I need it on a playback in my mind. I know,
right? Like you don't have to change who you are. Yeah. But we can do it in a way that's more sustainable and also doesn't leave us questioning like, how the hell did I get here, or what the hell am I doing with my life? Right. Kind of thing. And for her, I mean, she liked a lot of the questions that went through, but she was like, it was literally the act of pausing. One of the first questions asks like, if life were just right, not necessarily perfect, but just right, how would you feel at the end of your day? How often do we pause to just ask ourselves, how do we want to feel at the end of the day?
That's good.
Right.
I like that.
And even to your point around like, I woke up this morning and what I'd really like to do is spend the whole day outside. And it's like, okay, maybe that's not realistic, but what is it about that that is pulling you forward.
Right.
Let's just pause and explore that.
Right. It can be an indicator of what you need, what you're not getting enough of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, that is what I want to do. What can I do with that? Or what is that telling me? And so it might be, well, today I got this 30-minute block that I'm actually going to take my tea or my coffee and take a walk outside. But next Sunday, when I have no plans, I'm going to spend the whole day outside.
Oh, I'm going hiking, baby.
Right. And so now you've become really intentional. And we're all, well, most of us are adults.
Yeah. Most of us
are adults. And so you can't always just shirk your responsibilities, but you can understand what you're craving so that you can do something about it.
And give yourself that care.
Exactly.
I was looking at something you posted recently, and you said something like you're not striving for excellence every day anymore. No. Something along those lines. And I was like, that's freeing.
Yeah.
Because
it's exhausting.
I have this thought, and these thought patterns will still come up for me, on weeks where maybe things aren't as busy, or, I have more downtime, and I'll be like, I must not be doing enough. If I feel like, I feel peaceful in this moment, or I feel like, I've got myself together. Oh, well, I guess I should add more then.
Yeah.
I must not be doing enough.
Yeah. That is so common.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I feel like for me, this is year 4 of doing this work full time. And so it has taken quite a bit of time to get there, especially as a business owner, because you feel like if I'm feeling that way, then I'm missing an opportunity.
I'm missing an opportunity
do something
to make money.
And I think what I've had to do is redefine what's the word I'm looking for here? Whole feels like for me. And what it feels like in order to be operating at my best. I think that's a big one. So I volunteer with this organization. It's called Girls with Grit. I absolutely love it. I absolutely recommend anybody that wants to help support building confidence in young girls through sports.
Wow, cool.
To look up the organization. I didn't plan to plug it, but it's worth the plug. Yeah. Girls with Grit. It's so amazing. But their main slogan, I'll say because I'm a huge part of the organization in terms of my volunteerism, is I am my best. I am my best. And it doesn't mean, and similar to the 4 agreements, it doesn't mean that your best has to always be the 120%.
Right.
I am my best means what is the best I have to give today? And also, do I know what are the components of making me feel like my best? So I just have spent so much time with that idea that coming into 2026, I just didn't feel like my best. I felt like I was stretching myself too thin. I felt like I wasn't taking time to be strategic. I felt like I was chasing more than attracting. And also just striving just too hard. Yeah. And I felt like what was missing for me in terms of being my best was space and spaciousness. And so it's like you have to follow kind of the internal signals.
You do that. That's what was coming up for me now, because there's, it's like there's this constant push and pull of all right, we're striving for peace, right?
Sure.
We want to feel peaceful. Sure. We want to feel aligned, all of that. And it's like, all right, well, the moments that we're there in these peaceful things, then what the next thought is, well, it can be doing something more. Right. And it's like the internal peace coming through is like the ability to kind of recognize there are signals, right, that you'll get. It's like, actually, maybe you could be doing, not even more, maybe you could be doing something differently. Sure. Maybe you need to redirect. Sure. If you're having this feeling of ooh, something doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm not hitting the head, or I'm not hitting the mark on the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can be in touch with yourself or have those moments of pause, I think it's easier to recognize this is a chitter chatter saying I'm not doing enough versus, well, this is internal saying maybe I do need to take a little course correct, or maybe I could be doing something differently.
But you could distinguish.
Between the two.
And that's exactly what it was. And so for me, starting to feel like I wasn't operating at my best and all these things that I'm like, this isn't serving me or the people I love in this work. Yeah. And so that whole idea of spaciousness was when you have spaciousness, you are naturally creative. When you have spaciousness, you are spending time with people in a really intentional way, not rushed, not frantic. When you have so what I started to do was realize the value of spaciousness, right? Just like we have to we put so much value, I think it's default, the value on productivity. Yes. But it's how can you value rest? How can you value authentic connection? How can you value quiet, whatever it might be?
Yes. Oh, I feel like it's just like I really got to challenge myself on that, because as you said, the question, how do you want to feel at the end of the day, right? I was thinking about how and the first word that came to mind was productive. I got everything done. Default. I remember when I was journaling for a significant amount of time, like this is, oh my God, a decade ago, like before I was getting married. And so I had, like a lot of journal entries, and I had gone back, years ago then, and was taking a look, and like almost every single one was just me talking about what I got done, what I didn't get done, what I did get done, what I can get done tomorrow. It was just all productivity.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't want it to be that way.
Sure. But let me ask you this, and not to do like this real-time coaching, but like, why not? Why didn't you want it to be that way?
Because even reading those entries back, it felt empty. It felt like I was just doing things to do them. Like there wasn't meaning or purpose. It didn't feel like that to me. This kind of productivity, it was like, oh, I just want to get things done. Like, it feels like it's limiting. Like I'm missing other things if I'm just thinking about what I can get done.
That's fair. And then would you say, like, what do you feel like you were craving when you were writing out those things? Like when you were writing about what you got done and what you were going to get done, what do you think that you were craving at that time?
I think that it looked to me more of like a symptom of what deeper was going on, was that I wasn't in touch with like what I was feeling at all. So so shutting off that like feeling part, then all that is there is doing.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Does that make sense?
We're getting into a little bit of chakra talk here, but yeah.
You're telling me, girl. You're telling me. I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. Okay. So like I've already got this productivity achievement, like little
achiever, energy,
chip on my shoulder. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like even now when we talk about like the productivity and getting things done, like I have this feeling of like, I don't want it to just be about that for me.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really cool, because what it's giving you is this perspective. And so for you can look back and say, well, focusing on the doing was a way of avoiding the feeling.
Yes.
But when I look at it, it feels void. It feels like it lacks the depth that really represents who you are. And so then, because I think what happens is we tend to default back to what we most know. And so now if you were to sit down and be journaling or just in conversation, and you find yourself coming back to the doing, you could ask yourself, what am I avoiding feeling?
Yes.
What am I avoiding feeling?
It's like a little check engine light for me.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
And that's really what going inward does for us, is it allows us to know ourselves in a deeper way. Because again, you said it earlier, our body is always sending us signals, right? Whether it's a tingling in our gut, whether it's like this spaciousness in our heart, whether there's this nagging in our mind, our body is constantly sending us signals. You ever like answered a question for someone and immediately knew that wasn't the answer that you intended to give?
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like that's a body signal going,
for sure.
Oop, something's off. What was that thing? But we often like roll right through it.
Yep.
And it's like, I've done that before. I felt my whole mood shift, and I'll be like, what the heck was I just thinking about?
I know.
And I'll walk it back and I'll be like, oh. But you have to learn to like feel that shift. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a challenge of my life, one that I will gladly take on.
Yeah.
Because, that's it, right? We all have, I feel like, little specific challenges for our life, and little journeys and quests we have to go down.
I do. And I
that
think
feels like a big one for me.
Being able to appreciate whatever era we're in too, right? Like, I mean, I've certainly been in that era of like doing the inner work, doing the inner work, supporting the inner work. And then it's like, I just want to read a fiction novel.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to get lost in like dragons.
Play.
Yeah, I just want to play. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think being able to recognize, like, what are you in right now? Like, what's the era that you're in right now, so that you can honor it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel this, but it's like whatever era that I'm in, right? I will immediately be nostalgic for the era that I was in previously.
Sure.
Sure. Like, and I will immediately be like, oh, wait, like, can I enjoy this? Can I be in this? Like, can I go back here? Like, it's just like, be where you are, girl. Be where you are.
And I don't know if the podcast has shifted. I know for some amount of time there was a grief element to the podcast.
Oh, yeah. This is a grief podcast. At the end of the day, we are a grief podcast disguised as a fitness, wellness, lifestyle podcast. Because to me, that's like where it all comes from, right?
That's fair. And I think that's what you, like, so that whole idea of like looking back and like lamenting the era before is like, there's this grief of like, you've now transitioned into something else.
Yeah. Grief is transition.
Yeah, grief is transition. And so I think even just being able to name that, which is something we don't do enough. I don't think that we name our emotions enough. And
I've got the little emotion wheel on my favorites tab in Safari.
Wait a minute. I thought that you were pointing to your thigh.
Oh, like a tattoo.
I thought you were telling me you had a tattoo so you could always...
That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
And a great idea.
Spin the wheel and tell me how you feel.
Yes. Yeah. No, I get it out all the time.
Yeah, it's huge. It's just to be able to name, and also so that you can see like the secondary emotion versus the primary emotion.
Exactly.
And to be like, ooh, okay, this is the source.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or to like tweak the word just a little bit where you're like,
it feels right.
You know, right. Like, is it like, are you feeling anxious or are you feeling paranoid or are you feeling, you know, like you can just like, it just gives us this ability to like analyze, not even analyze. I don't really particularly like that word, but like get into what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you touch on a really important part too. So what I've developed is the voice framework, right? And that voice framework, it's spelled with 2 C's.
Yes.
So it represents, right, like vision, options, insight, choice, and commitment, and then execution. But the whole reason why it exists is because we've spent so much time like silencing our own voices.
Yes.
That when the time comes to notice what's happening, we either struggle to hear the voice or we hear the voice and struggle to trust the voice. Right. And so even to your point about getting in touch with our feelings, it's like starting to give language again to like what's here, what's true. Even and so it's funny because even going back to the identity crisis, part of it now is I'm a leadership coach, but it's a leadership coach focused on decision making. Right. So it's getting even more specific.
Yeah. Love that.
Right. Yep. And so it's like, well, can you first just name what's here? Because one of the really important questions that we ask once we get through like the vision stuff, which is like where you're going, it's who you are. It's like what makes you
your
authentically
purpose.
you, all of that, or your organization, because you can also apply it to organizations. And so what's the mission, vision, values, objectives, things like that. Impact is an important one. The very next question is, how do I want to show up under pressure? And that can be for a team. How do you as a team want to show up under pressure?
Wow.
Or how do you as an individual want to show up under pressure? So if you can name your feelings, you can recognize that like if it's paranoid or anxious or angry, okay, that's an emotion. Mm-hmm. How do you want to show up when you're feeling that way? Mm-hmm. And so back to the fact that we're not robots. And I love what AI is doing. I use it. I appreciate it. I follow it. I try to learn it.
Yep.
But it will never replace the human awareness and the human, like, the ability to be more centered and more clear and more thoughtful and more nuanced in our decision making. But you've got to first understand the place from which you're making those decisions.
I love that. How do you want to show up under pressure? Mm-hmm. I think that's a good conversation for couples.
Oh,
too.
Gosh.
Like in relationship.
Absolutely.
I mean, friendship, work, dynamic, anything.
All of it.
Like, how do you want to show up under pressure?
Well, because the truth of it is that we all will show up differently under pressure. All the tests, I do one that's like conflict dynamics profile, and that's all about how you tend to behave during conflict. Yes. We know conflict is unavoidable. You're never going to be in an environment where you don't disagree, but like, how do you show up during that conflict so that you can have more constructive outcomes versus destructive patterns and outcomes?
Right.
The whole brain thinking, right? Like if you've taken the HBDI, some of them call it, and it's like, they don't just tell you your profile. They tell you it's a thinking preferences one. They don't tell you your thinking preferences, but your thinking preferences under pressure. Because we know it's different.
Yes.
And so being able to tune in and say, how do I show up under pressure? And is it a reflection of that vision, that identity of how I want to show up as a leader of my life or my organization?
Oh my God, this is so good. I know this would happen. We would just get going and going. You'll have to come back.
I will come back.
Yeah, please come back and we can like bring forward some additional topics to kind of dive into.
Yeah.
But we have to end with the question
of
what does being fit mean to you?
Can I go on a little tangent first?
Of course.
So I went to this, I'm all about the rituals, right? Like for me, I love God and my faith is strong for me, but I also love some of these like deeper spiritual practices. And so I went to this cacao ceremony last night.
Okay.
I was not prepared. So cacao is a stimulant, apparently.
Yes.
And so what would normally put me in a really meditative state as a sound bath ceremony and like a ritual like this, my brain was on overdrive during the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you this because then I had some insomnia last night. And can I tell you, Christelle, what I did was laid there and I was looking up the definition of fit. And I was like, I want to be able to answer this question. It's 3:30 in the morning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know that's why I was up because I was overstimulated.
Yes.
I was all in my head. But I spent time thinking about this because there's the traditional definition of fit, which is like wellness. It's the kind of fit that we often think about. And I do think that that's important. It's like mentally and physically well, and emotionally well. Right. But then, and this is where things really like opened up for me. I'm like doing this because I was laying on my phone because I like to start with what's the dictionary definition.
Yeah, you want to go like literal, and like then, what is the word?
What does that mean to me? And it's alignment, right? Like, are you a good fit? For this. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I'm a wonderful fit for the work I do now. I feel in alignment. Yeah. And I think that that's something that's really special is I help other people get in alignment. Yes. And so it's funny because going back to
helping people
crisis,
get fit. Yeah. You're helping people get fit. So many ways.
Alignment. Yeah. That's what fit means to me.
I love that. That's probably
one of
my favorite answers I've had so far.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Tell me another one. I'm just curious.
I like that a lot. Someone had said what being fit means to them is being exceedingly kind to themselves. Ooh. That's a standout one for me over the years.
I like that.
I know. Yeah. That's good. But alignment is also another favorite. Tian, thank you so much for this. Where can people get a hold of you, follow you, see the work that you're doing, learn more?
lsfwellness.com. So just like Love, Strength, Fitness, lsfwellness.com is going to be everything. It's going to talk about what I have coming up. If people subscribe to the newsletter, they can do it there. They can learn more about voice. They can message me directly. It comes straight to me. They can reach out for a conversation. Yeah. And also soon, that's where people will get access to that, the Excellence Without Exhaustion PDF. Yep. And I have a retreat that I'm working on that no one knows about yet.
Oh my God, a What the Fit exclusive.
Yes. How about that? It's going to be in June and it's going to take some of this work and it's going to allow people to dive into voice without necessarily having to do the full experience if they're not ready for it yet.
Got you.
And so if they go to lsfwellness.com, they can get access to all those goodies.
Awesome.
And also connect with me on social. All the links are on lsfwellness.com.
Perfect. One-stop shop.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't believe how fast this went.
I know. It flies. Yeah. It flies.
But you are amazing. You're really good at what you do. And I really appreciate being here with you.
Thanks so much.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Chrissy Gurley and at What the Fit Podcast. Full video episodes will be available on Spotify and YouTube, so follow and subscribe. If you're loving What the Fit, please help spread the word. Send it to a friend, share it to your story, and if you're looking for even more exclusive content, become a Patreon member. You can find it at patreon.com/whatthefitpodcast.